Okay, let's record. Hi, everybody. Christina Merkley. It's our process pop-up on Sunday, the whatever it is. Not very good with dates at the best of times. I just moved this week, so it's been a little kooky. So getting myself settled, I just moved to this beautiful community here in Machosen, British Columbia, called Spirit Bay, which I thought was kind of apropos for who I am and what I'm more and more moving into. It's just beautiful. Although they're a little paranoid about an outsider coming in. I'm like, I'm just moving from 10 minutes away, people. I'm not a COVID carrier. You're okay. So quite a few retired people understandably concerned about an outsider coming in. So they don't know I'm a hermetic Machosenite. So it's all okay. I'll be doing an easing about it and sharing some pictures. It's on First Nations land. It's just spectacular. And those of you in practical energy work, oh my goodness, in terms of the spiritual connection and the energetics and ancestry on that land. So goosebumps even just talking about it right now. So I'm supposed to be there, and I'm very happy to be. I've been keeping an eye on that place for several years. So I see some of you, and it's nice to see some familiar faces that I haven't seen in a long time. Each time we do one of these, it's a drop-in, right? So people come when it works for them. I usually don't run them on a Sunday, so I know that opens up some time for people who maybe can't come on the Thursdays. So nice to see some of you. It's different every time. You may have been able to check out some of the previous ones. I think this is number 9. If you look at the chat function, in the Zoom, I've got 2 links in there. The top link is for the community support page. I bring that up because at the very bottom of that page are recordings of the previous process pop-ups. And middle of that page are a bunch of visual tools that I tend to use. Usually those tools are only accessible for my visual coaches. I see some of the visual coaches here. But given extraordinary circumstances, I made the ones that I thought would be useful for the circumstances available for people. So just know that if you haven't made your way over to that page, there's quite a few resources that are helpful to help you with your own processing. As you also, if you care to watch some of those previous recordings, you'll see me using them. The second link is a link for the one-to-one work that I'm doing as well, because there's only so deep. I guess because you just came in later, Anne, they're not there. So let me see if I can cut and paste them and put them in there for you. There we go. Yeah, okay. Where was I? You'll see me using those tools individually with people on those individual sessions as well. They're quite lengthy sessions. It tends to be the way that I work, 45 minutes, an hour or so with people, because there's only a certain amount of depth that we can get when we work online with the process groups, right? So it's more of a group thing as opposed to diving deep with one individual. Although what happens sometimes in the process groups is a piece of work will get identified. So depending on what we do, I may go, oh, you may want to go do an orphan rescue on that, or it might be helpful for you to do XYZ on that, and I'll point you to those other tools that you can do a deeper, more personal bit of work yourself with. Now, let me just screen share if I can manage this. Good. If you have been at previous ones, you'll have seen this graphic, which is called the emotional scale. It comes from the Abraham Hicks material. And I'll just quickly run through it because it's a nice way to do a check-in. And we've got a smaller, more intimate group of people, which is nice today. So we'll probably be able to go around to each person. By the way, this is being recorded and it's shared publicly. So I would suggest you take last names off. You can rename yourself. So if you go to the participant list and do the see more or something option on there, it'll allow you to rename yourself. So I do prefer that you just do first names. It's up to you if you're okay with having your last name on there, but it's good to change your name. And I know everybody here, I think Sonia, I don't know you, but I saw your face quickly. I just need to identify people just from the Zoom bomber effect to make sure everybody's a real legitimate person who's not going to be wrecking havoc in here in our sweet little process group. So we're all fine there. If we do pass around the mic and you care not to have your video on, by all means, you can turn off your video when you're speaking, if you care to. Now, the emotional scale, down at the bottom here, we could be anywhere on this scale. And as we've been doing with some of the process groups, you can be multiple places at the same time, right? Because it's a complicated situation that's going on. So at the very bottom are the deepest emotions where people turn them in on themselves. And that's fear and grief and depression and despair and powerlessness. We move up just a smidge into insecurity, guilt, unworthiness, moving up into jealousy. And this sometimes is a surprise for people when we move into the stuff that gets directed at other people, where you're angry. So hatred, rage, revenge, anger, that's actually lighter than the stuff we turn in on ourselves. Then we move up into discouragement and blame and worry and doubt. And we're starting to get midway up through the scale here into disappointment and overwhelm and frustration, irritation, impatience. And then we keep on going into pessimism. And look at this, boredom is actually a pretty high emotion. And there's something in here called the hope line where it really shifts to us into hope and content and optimism, right? We get a whiff of possibility, positive expectation, belief, enthusiasm, eagerness, happiness, passion. And then we tap the top of the scale, which is joy and knowledge and empowerment and freedom and love and appreciation. And you know, we can go through these on different subjects in our lives, right? Each subject in our life has a place on the scale. And then overall, how we are feeling in life generally can have a place on the scale. And then obviously we're in a very unique situation here with what's going on around the world right now. And my favorite thing as a coach is to ask my clients, who are you today, right? Or who are you this moment? And so that's kind of the question is, who are you today? You're coming for a process pop-up. We'll do some quick check-ins so you can say your name or your avatar name if you don't want to use your real name. And then anything you care to share about being here at the group. And then where are you on the emotional scale? It gives me a sense of what the feel is in the group. And depending on what emerges out of the check-ins, that's kind of what I zero in on and co-create our agenda around. So I don't know what's going to happen until I hear from each of you and how you are. And we always find our way and something magical always happens. So, so let's do some check-ins. I'm going to go for people who have been here for regularly so you can kind of show the way. So why don't I start with Deborah and then I'll go to Jude.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Christina. I'm Deborah, and today I am hopeful. And I'm just glad to be here, part of the group, and do a little processing.
Excellent. Okay. Welcome, Deb. And Jude.
Hello, everyone. I'm in the light green, kind of between disappointment and not feeling overwhelmed, but frustration, irritated, and impatient.
A good mid-zone.
Yeah, so, you know, as our state opens up more, and I'm in Wisconsin where the state Supreme Court overturned the safer at home declaration of our governor. So people are acting like that means, oh, there's no risk anymore. We can just go out and live our lives the way we used to. And so I feel very disappointed and also frustrated with citizens who are not taking the risk seriously.
Mm-hmm. Understandably. Okay, thanks, Jude. Glad you're here. Kristen, you're maybe not in these ones so often, but you've definitely been in some of these groups previously. So I'm going to go to you next.
Yeah, I was so happy to see that this was a Sunday session. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right away, where I was on the scale jumped out as positive expectation. I feel like I've really been fortunate this last week to really been able to notice the good that people are doing and the extreme gratitude people are expressing to the people who are out there making a difference. And I'm an educator, and so I'm really grateful too about here in BC what seems to be a very planned reopening. And I'm on some teams that concentrate on well-being and things, and just seeing those people spring into action, wanting to support people who are legitimately and for good reason afraid. And I'm grateful for all those people that are responding to that. So I'm choosing to believe that we will come through this stronger.
Nice. Just going to be moving my view around. I'll flash that back up on the screen again. I prefer to have you guys up here where I can see you. So I'm just moving things on my screen. Thank you, Kristen. I'll just leave it popcorn style. So whoever wants to go next, please do.
Hi, Christina, it's Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Nice to be back here. I've been watching some of your work, so I'm glad it was on a Sunday that I could partake. Where I am today is a bit in the kind of worry, doubt area. Just got lots of things personally going on. So yeah, I'm sitting there right now, planning on leaving my career of many years and just have a few worries about that. Yeah.
Now's the time. We've
Yeah.
wondered this for years.
Yeah.
Interesting timing, Jody.
Yeah.
We didn't see this one coming when we were talking about this for a while.
Right.
Wow. You're not alone. Jude's in that transition too. Yeah. Cool. Okay, welcome.
Hi, Christina. It's Pauline.
Hi, Pauline.
Hello, everybody. Coming to you probably in that vicinity of that contentment. I hear so much of what Jude is saying. And there's a little bit of reservation with, you know, sort of the opening up and things like that, and seeing people kind of, okay, they're trying to move on to normal, but what is normal? And normal for everybody. So yeah, so where do I fit into that little piece? So yeah, so there's optimism there, but there's that whole, what do we need to do to help people through this transition period? Maybe a little bit of guilt on not achieve some of the things that I thought I might achieve, but definitely proud and joyful about everything that I have achieved this time. So.
Funny how we want to be all productive during this. Yeah. Cool.
It kind of comes down to, you know, sort of everybody's, you know, you see so many people that have gone out and they've got fit and, you know, they've changed their lives and stuff like that. And they're the pieces that I'm like, I'm going to get there. I will get there. I will get there.
Mm.
So.
Cool. That's how it's hitting you. Thank you. Good to have you here.
Hey, Christina.
Hi, Sharon. Yes.
Lovely to be here. I'm really glad I finally found my way here.
Excellent.
Who am I now? That has been my question for myself before pandemic, because I had moved more into being a retired woman and not very gracefully. I'm not loving that. I need to be of purpose and I need to be of service, and I'm still searching for that. I've got so much gratitude to be living in Vancouver, in this province, in terms of how we're managing this. And the thing I've had the biggest struggle with since the pandemic is I've always seen myself, as I'm in my 70s, as a pretty solid, you know, I'm active, I've got a beautiful community, a beautiful family, and now I'm vulnerable, you know. That label was put on me because of my age. It really threw me for a loop. It made me feel invisible, it made me feel minimized, and it was like, I guess I'm vulnerable. So I tried to get into acceptance, but didn't make it. And so there's a couple things I'm doing for myself throughout this. I'm still kind of in a lot of shutdown, and I'd like to move out of that. but I daily have a FaceTime with my 4-year-old granddaughter who lives in Mexico. And I'm in her world. We play, and it's joyful.
Mm.
Every day I come to that place of appreciation and joy to have this little being in my life. Her grandpa, who lives down there, calls her his psychiatrist. Yeah, I get that. What helped me to move myself out of this sense of just feeling like this invisible, vulnerable senior was, first of all, to say, I don't like the word elderly. I'm going to see myself as an elder. And that has power in it. It has respect in it. It shows I've got some experience that's valuable. So when I shifted that for myself, it helped. And the other thing I started out doing was just taking little walks around my co-op in Falls Creek because I was being so careful. And now I've moved myself into telephone with our headphones on, exercise walks with my exercise buddy where we can be very far apart. It doesn't matter. We're talking on the phones. And so I'm back to getting my 10,000 steps a day. And this really is so good for my mental health. So sorry to be so long, but that's kind of who I am right now. A little confused, definitely grateful.
Thank you. No, it's a beautiful share, and I'm zeroing in on the vulnerability and in the invisible. And I think the vulnerability is something that everybody can relate to. So the process side of me is going, might be a polarity we work. Vulnerability is one side of it. We'll see what the flip is. But I think I could feel that very strongly as something to potentially work here today. So thank you for bringing that forward, Sharon. Awesome. And it's really nice to see you. Sharon was going to be with several other of us down in Mexico with Rhoda Draws and our fast and loose sketching retreat down there, which never made it because of this blowing in. So something else will emerge here, Sharon. Yeah.
I'm just in a holding pattern on that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, let's get others checked in. Who's that saying
hi? Christina.
Hi, Sonia.
Hi,
Go
Christina.
for it.
Yeah, hi. Yes, thank you. I was trying to get my computer set up. So it has been a long time since the last webinar I joined in a Thursday. So when I saw this coming across in a Sunday, I said, oh, I would like to, to join since the past couple months with the coronavirus has helped me. I think that in the scale I am between optimism and expectation. Looking into these past 2 months have helped me to take a stock of where am I in my career, and just to to pause and looking into the options. And even though it is a very difficult time for everybody, I think I am eager to see what is at the other end, right at the other side.
Yeah.
So, and what better time right now than to prepare, to sharpen my skills, to, physically, emotionally, intellectually. So, I was very happy to see you. I mean, I think that was a sign for me, seeing that email coming across. Oh, today is a webinar with Christina. So, I mean, this is I don't know. It's just from all the emails that you get, right? So this got my attention today in a Sunday. So, and I'm looking forward to the session.
Okay, beautiful. Nice to have you here. Okay, let's get Lynn. Perfect. Go for it.
Hello there. Pardon me for arriving late. A little bit of dishevelment this morning.
It's Sunday morning. Yeah.
Well, I hit the ground running this morning and somehow worked in a bit of gardening between now and this call, so I've got black fingernails. Anyway, I'm so delighted to have an opportunity to reconnect, and thank you once again. And Sunday's a great day to do this, actually. There's a little bit of space today. So
good to know.
Yeah. So on this, the screen disappeared for me with the list, but it doesn't matter. I can just speak from my heart where I'm at. I would say like 95% optimism, hope, enthusiasm, feeling full of purpose. and 5% a few spikes of frustration because I've found myself overscheduled, and so I'm trying to be forgiving, self-forgiving about that, that somehow it kind of crept in, and I wasn't quite as conscientious as I wished I would have been when I said yes to a few projects, and learning projects in particular. You know, it's one thing to say yes to a 2-hour call, but when there's also 3 hours of prep attached to each 2-hour call, that's a whole mushroom effect. And so I found myself going pretty busily the last couple of weeks, and you know, hit the ground at 7 a.m. and I'm going till sometimes 9 or 10 at night. So it's a little too much right now. And so I am in a self-forgiveness process around that. So that's the odd spike outside of the 95% feeling happy and productive and one foot after the other. And something that somebody shared, maybe it was Sharon or the person before that, about, I just caught a thread about, you know, that feeling like expecting ourselves to be productive during this time. And I was talking to a friend of mine last night while I was on a power walk, who said, yes, this COVID funk can lead to 3 possibilities. We become a chunk because we've been eating too much. We could become a drunk because we've been drinking too much. Or we become a hunk because we took on some crazy fitness project. It just made me laugh. Funk, hunk, chunk, and drunk. So anyway, if anybody else likes the play on words there, I just thought I'd share it with you today. So that's my check-in. Just really grateful to be here.
Yeah, cool. I can also feel the kind of overscheduling, productivity, guilt, you know, am I chunk, am I hunk, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and this, you know, this whole concept of busyness, I'm not one of those people that thinks of it as a badge of honor. I actually feel the opposite. When I get overscheduled, I'm like, okay, I'm not attending to the, you know, balance and allowing spaciousness in my life to actually process what's going on, or even to allow enough time for the unexpected to pop up. So to me, I care a lot about keeping some balance in the mix. And when I get a little overscheduled like that, I feel like, oh, that's old programming. It's popped up again that I've been, you know, actually working quite hard to overcome over the last decade. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's an important, interesting one. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Let's go, Anne, let's get you in here.
I will unmute. I'm Anne. This is my first chance to join in. I'm in Missouri. And for me personally, I'm feeling really good. But I would say today I'm in the frustration, impatience place, mostly because I'm thinking about our planet and all of the opportunities we have to kind of shift some things that we do to take care of it. And I'm seeking clarity as to how I can contribute to that, and feeling really impatient that I don't have this mapped out path of what exactly I want to do. So I'm kind of in between both worlds there, literally.
It's really nice to see you. It's been a while since I've been able to connect with you outside of just static Facebook posts. Yeah, cool. Something comes to mind over on that first page, the community support page, if we don't zero in on your particular stuff. There's a planetary magnetism map. That might be one for you to play with.
Okay.
And then also future self, right? Once you've got that planetary magnetism map, having a dialogue with the future self about what are you doing? How did you get there, right? What is your piece of this puzzle around this planetary mag map? That's where I would go if I was working with you one-to-one. And if you ever want to do one of those one-to-one sessions, let me know. That would be juicy to get into. Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, nice. Who else have we? Shelley, did we get you? No, let's go for that.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here again. When I'm looking at this drawing, actually, there's a couple places. First of all, we've been allowed to see some of our people to broaden our bubble. And I was so surprised at when I got to hold my people, to hold them. I just cried from a deep, deep place that I had been longing and yearning for that so much. I'm just crying just even remembering it, and it was beautiful. My person said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I need to hold you longer. I just need to hold you." It was beautiful. So that was really nice. So I'm appreciative of that, and we get to see our daughter and new baby next weekend. So that feels really good. But I couldn't believe the place that these tears came from. It was a deep, 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 deep place. And the other thing, I don't see it on here, but that doesn't make any difference.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Add away.
I'm adding is at the same time there has been flow occurring in our life here in the bubble, where things are lining up. We're doing some jobs and some projects, and all of a sudden there's a rainy day and you have a tradesperson who's able to all of a sudden show up and move a project forward. So there's been multiple things of those. So that's it. Hello, everybody.
Lovely. So beautiful just in and of itself to just check in and hear from each person and what's dropping for you, you know, dropping deeply in the system. I can just really feel that with you. Wow, and that appreciation and gratitude for those things we used to think were the simplest, right? Kind of take them for granted.
This is Lynn. Is it okay if I add something else?
Please.
Actually, I took a course with Shelley last summer that was mind-blowingly amazing, folks. I just want to, give her a... and one of the things that Shelley did in that course, I have carried with me. It's so beautiful. You know, when you share something and then 2 paragraphs later you go, "Oh, I wish I would have said that." It's called PS. And so she introduced this concept of you can add a PS if you've thought of something additional you want to say. So I'm just pulling from a page from your notebook, Shelley. So my PS is what Anne, when you were talking about the conversations about what does the future look like. Last night I was on a call with David Suzuki and Vandana Shiva, who are both, eminent scientists in the climate and social justice world, who I've followed for years. And I was so excited to be on this call because it was about what's coming down the pipe. How do we want to create forward? And to be honest with you, I left that call feeling sad, a little mad, a little disappointed and frustrated, because in that 90 minutes, all they did was continue to bitch and complain about everything that's screwed up. And, it's a feature of the social change movement that we get stuck in problem orientation and don't move to the next step, which is, okay, that tells us what we don't want. How about we spend some time embellishing and exploring and visualizing and dialoguing on what we do want? And, it broke my heart that these 2 people who I admire and appreciate so much for their knowledge, their, the decades that they've spent in this field, and they fell into the bitching and complaining hole and didn't crawl out. And so just, Anne, what you were saying reminded me of that. And I thought, yeah, this is the reason I show up on calls like this, so that we can co-create forward and extract the learning from what's going on. And we all have the power to do something different in the next minute, in the next hour, in the next day. And let's put our attention on that. That's my deep wish for all of us. So I'm done. That was my PS.
Good PS, and it reminds me of some comments that I had one-to-one with Jude about the power of this group, and it's what we do in terms of productivity, right? Of getting to what it is we do desire instead of just the venting, as important as the venting is, right? We don't want to move off of, there's a stage to be where you are and be with those feelings and meet them. And if you were in last session where we did the inquiry work, and some of the sessions I've done one-to-one with people, is that's exactly where you go, is meet people where they're at. But as somebody who's done a lot of strat planning like you have too, Lynn, right, that desire, I just, hopefully that it's showing on the screen share. I've gone over to the community support page, and the first section, because that's where I run too, is visioning and all the visioning tools. So I just want to point those out because I mentioned them for Anne, and who knows, maybe we'll go into that planetary magnetism map today. But just FYI that there's all these tools for if you are ready to start the necessary step of the venting and kvetching, and to use that as the contrast place to get clear on, well, what do you prefer from here, and do the flipping of it. These tools will help you do that. And it does it at all the different levels. There's a magnetism map which allows you to focus on just you solo, and then there's a couple of different duo maps, whether it's two people, it could be two males, two females, male, female in the duo. All sorts of duos. It might be partners, it might be business partners, it might be co-workers, siblings, right? So if you've got you and another relationship, right, that you want to do some visioning on, there's tools to do that. Then there's a group. So if you're part of a group and you want to do it with the group, or you want to just do your own visioning about that group just on your own, because this is something that we can do as individuals, right, is do visioning. And when many other people aren't able to go there, if you're actually quite high up the emotional scale, you can go there, and that's your contribution. So whatever that group is, it could be your family, it could be your work group, it could be your faith church group, anything, right? There's a magnetism map to do that. Then we go to the planetary. So if you're feeling the pull at that meta level, right, which Anne, you brought in, and Lynn, your comments are getting to that, then there's that planetary, and even for those who are really meta, the galaxy, the galactic, right? So taking us to that big picture. And I think, you know, each of us are here to play our own different roles, and in that 360 of the world, we've got our particular place or geography or region. And I mean geography in the biggest sense of the word, right? That the place, like puzzle piece that is ours, you know, or that we resonate with and that we get drawn to. So it's important to, we're a big team, I believe, right? So go to your thing that you resonate with and go do that, do your piece. So if you're really down on the ground in your local relationships or family, great, be there. If you're there in your local community, if you're someone who's playing at the bigger biosphere, planetary kind of level, go there. Each of us go where our resonance is, then we'll take care of that bigger thing overall. So there's those visioning tools. And then of course, the action. So once you got the vision, matching up the actions to that vision. Once you tap into that vision, often what will follow on its heels, right, when you tap in and align to a vision, is the doings and beings to get you there. And so that's an action plan. And again, speaking to some of the stuff that Anne brought forward. Now, down here is the inner work. The Flip It Good, the Orphan Rescue, Focus Wheel I haven't done yet, and the Polarity Square work, which we have done a bit of. Let's figure out what our focus is. There's a couple things that I find with hearing what's going on that I kind of zoom into, right? They're kind of hot spots for me. One is the vulnerability. And again, I think it's something all of us can relate to. In this, somewhere we can probably find where our vulnerability gets triggered, for lack of a better word. Not that vulnerability is a bad thing. The other thing was the overscheduling productivity thing. And then I think also other people, right? As here in British Columbia, we're starting this measured kind of reopening, however we want to phase it. And different things are happening around the world in different places. Jude, just what other people are doing. I've experienced this with this community I've moved into, and how people have responded to me coming from 10 minutes away. They don't know I'm coming from 10 minutes away. Understandably having some reactions to that, right? So this whole like other people and what are they doing, and again, that vulnerability that gets triggered by those other people who you can't control, right? And policies and different points of views and politics and stuff. So lots for us to work with. If there aren't any objections, I think where I want to start with a polarity square around vulnerability, and we'll find the flip of that, and that becomes our polarity. And just kind of trust the process from there about where it flows, about what our next step might be with maybe some of these other things or something else that emerges. Does that sound okay as a starting place? Yeah. Any objections, I guess, maybe another way? Yeah. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to bring up my template and then share screen on that. Get all my views set up here. Come here, let me move you. There it is. Okay, I'll bring this up a bit bigger and then I'll explain it if you haven't seen this one before. So this is a wonderful process. Along the bottom, you'll see the source. A woman named Leslie Temple Thurston. She's got this great book. I'm always into processes. Marriage of Spirit, Enlightened Living in Today's World. She's from South Africa. She had a big Kundalini awakening. Part of what helped her get there was working her polarities. Ultimately, what this gets to is unity or transcendence. And we use the fodder of the polarity to help us eventually get there. It's a balancing technique. It's a balancing technique in our psyche and our subconscious and our energy. So we know we've got one polarity here, one side of it, which is the vulnerability. So I'm just going to plunk that into this square. So we've got desire for vulnerability and the fear of it. Now on the other side of the stick, those of you who are into Abraham Hicks, you'll remember their language about the other side of the stick, right? So when you beat this stick, in some ways you might be activating the other side of the stick. So what's the other side of the stick for vulnerability? What's the flip of vulnerability? If you just unmute and throw a couple of those on the coffee table for us to consider, one of them will probably emerge for us and we'll focus it on that. Is it strength?
Opportunity.
Okay, vulnerability. I've got strength, opportunity, capability. Let's go to, you were the one who first brought this out, Sharon. What for you is the flip of vulnerability?
Allowing. Just as a small example, I have 2 daughters, and they took my age vulnerability very seriously and wanted to do all my grocery shopping.
Mm-hmm.
I allowed that for a period of time, and that was, I was so appreciative of accepting that help and the offering of that help.
In a way, you went right to the transcendence state of it. let me take you to another place and just ask the question a different way to see what that provokes. So there was a place in you, at least initially, when you're like, oh, this is a new one. Me, vulnerable?
Yeah.
So that means you usually identify with something else, not vulnerability. What would that be?
That's a good question. And I mean, strength kind of came here, but I'm not sure that's the right word. Self-contained is there, but it's bigger. It's like higher wisdom self, you know, knowing how to be with my source energy, which keeps me feeling grounded. This makes me feel ungrounded.
Okay, so there's another good one. So particularly from your psyche. So once you may want to once you start getting into polarities, you discover a whole bunch of them. So
a new map for me.
Yeah, so ground, this one can keep you busy. This is really fruitful to go through and this particular situation tends to evoke certain kinds of polarities. That's why I like doing it as a group, because usually all of us can relate to it to some extent or other. And then there's others that are really personal to us, right? That other people in this situation aren't having happen, but we are having them happen. That's unique to us in our own psyches. Okay, so you got grounded and ungrounded. What's the flip? Allowing, I guess you could always do the negative, so the disallowing, but is it blocking or preventing? What's the flip of allowing?
I'm resourceful and capable and whole, and I can do this on my own.
Okay, independence.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Resourceful. Okay, I think that's the flip, is the independence.
Yes.
I have a cluster of words popping up. Can I share?
Go for it.
I was thinking about the opposite of vulnerability being something like protection or defense or armoring.
Mm-hmm. And if you have all those things, what are you?
Yeah, that points to independence.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
to me
exactly.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was like, I think it might be independence. Yeah. Because if you got protection, defense, and all that, what does it give you? You know, there's some sort of solidity or something too.
Yeah, there's something about I can take care of myself. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard a warrior in there too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, warrior.
Yeah. And there's a couple in the chat: safe, confident, capable, humble, humility, protected, secure. Yeah, that's a nice flip. Vulnerable and secure. Yeah. Secure might fit all those different aspects, right? You're secure because you're independent, you're resourceful, whatever. It comes to this security, and that's what's getting threatened with that vulnerability. Okay, so again, there's no right answer, right? So there's kind of like, let's play this one and see what happens. There's a different nuance. If we were to put in independence, going to give a different nuance than security. So pay attention to which one's kind of ding, ding, ding for you, knowing that it's probably worth your while to come back and work that particular one if we're not doing the exact ones that ping it for you. It's just, you have a list of polarities that you're probably going to want to come back and do. But this is going to get us to some interesting places, I think, and that it's general enough that we can apply it to all our different individual circumstances. Okay, so we end up with 4 quadrants. Some of them we're quite comfortable and familiar with, and they're known, but some, usually 1, sometimes 2, are not so known. So like the desire for vulnerability, like what's that? Especially for very independent and resourceful and capable people like most of us are on this call, right? It's like, what? You mean underneath somewhere I have a desire for vulnerability? So ding, 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 that's probably going to be one that's going to rise up into the light of day to us a little bit, which is helpful for balancing our psyche. Also, the fear of security might be another one that's less accessible to us, right? Less aware. Okay, so let's go into one that we're probably easier to access. Let's do the fear of vulnerability. So as you tap into individually, we're doing it as a group, so you can all, I like the coffee table analogy. Let's pretend we've got a coffee table. This is a global living room. I used to have a big green coffee table. So I always think of this big green coffee table with the glass top, right, in between all of us. And so as we play this game, we're just lightly putting stuff on the coffee table. Just know that I'll be writing it all down because everything's fair game, right, with this particular exercise. But as you listen to other people put stuff on the coffee table, you will have your reactions to it. Some of it you'll resonate with, some of it you won't. Pay attention to both of those as we go along, right, just for how you interact with the stuff individually that comes up. Because that, again, may give you some fodder for some additional work for you to do on yourself. Okay, so fear of vulnerability. What comes up as you consider vulnerability and you have a reaction to vulnerability? Sharon, I'm going to start with you since you brought this on the table. What is it about vulnerability that is fearful?
It's very old for me. I've been very resistant of it throughout my life. But the word that came up just in that moment that you asked the question was expectation. Expectations that I need to be helped.
So fear of vulnerability means I'm old.
Yep.
And I need help.
Yeah.
And is that shameful or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. Who else? What else as you contemplate vulnerability for yourself in this situation at large that's happening to all of us?
For me, what came up was that I could be taken advantage of.
Good one.
I would say too that you're judging me. You're making assumptions about me without knowing the truth of me.
So I'm being judged, not seen, not known.
Yeah.
Maybe not accurately seen or known. And what might they judge you that you don't like? Like less than or something, or?
Yeah, or not as knowledgeable about the situation as they think they are.
Okay, good. So for you, it's like, ugh, they don't think I'm knowledgeable. Okay.
To me, it's might feel like you're weak.
Yeah. Good work.
Loss of power.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, there's power again.
Powerless.
Yeah, that's such a ding ding, Shelley. Hey, yeah, good. Yeah. What else? Ugh, vulnerability.
Loss of control too, I think.
And what happens if we lose power and we lose control?
You don't get to choose what happens to you. You get kicked out.
Okay. No
belonging.
Kicked out.
You become dependent.
Yeah.
You don't belong.
I was thinking the word needy.
Yep, good.
Let's throw in pathetic too.
Yeah, let's go. Oh, needy and pathetic. Yeah.
I just want to say pathetic, I love words, is one word I totally love. And I love it because the word path is embodied in it. So I always know there's a pathway out of this.
Nice.
Good.
Less than.
Yep, good. For me, what comes up is at the mercy of.
Yes.
you know, and you know, and at the mercy of, what if they aren't at the mercy of, what if they're like immoral or twisted, you know, like just not right, like you're at the mercy of something that's really off.
I
There's
was
some,
thinking,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Kristen. It's okay.
I was thinking that vulnerability too, there's this, that vulnerability to pain, that this could lead to something painful.
Yep.
I was going to say there's something about it. It was tickling with the words less than and feeling inferior and at the mercy of. And I was thinking of, you know, when, that feeling when somebody's trying to fix you, and it's kind of, it feels like they're quite condescending. So that's them. I don't know what's the feeling in me to identify there, but it's kind of an icky feeling, like somebody trying to fix you.
Yeah.
Or take care of you, or again, it's something about taking away my autonomy. So it goes back to loss of independence.
And a lack of respect seems to be in there too.
Yeah.
What rises for me when you say that, Lynn and Kristen, is narcissistic. You know, you're at the hands of somebody that's a narcissist.
Yeah, or crazy, or
And
Excellent.
so there's something about kind of that energy that's patronizing. Like if I think, Sharon, what you were talking about, you know, when I'm going to an example of somebody who's aging, and let's say that they start to lose their mobility, and then they realize they have to go to assisted living, and they don't want to lose their independence, because now somebody's saying, you have to take your meds and you have to eat this because this is what we're serving today. And it's like all that choice is taken away.
Yeah, that's a beautiful one to add in there. And I guess a lot of this comes to that word of invisibility for me as well. I feel someone patting me on the head. And from the work I've done in my time in social work and other things, I just saw so many people who had a lot of problems being disempowered by the worker who knew best and didn't know best.
That whole patronizing thing.
Yeah.
And loss of autonomy and loss of agency.
Yeah, that's it.
I must say, I've had a conversation with my grandkids with what's going on in nursing homes to say, do not let your kids ever put me in one of these places.
You got them as the watchdogs. That's awesome. Okay, so we can really feel, well done everybody, we can really feel the territory of this fear of vulnerability and everything that involves, right? All those nuances and layers and fears. Okay, so we just kind of do a little bow to that. Welcome vulnerability, right? And everything that holds. That which you resist persists. That which you damns you back. So we're just, you are welcome here, as much as we can hold that. Now we go to the flip of it. Desire for security. Let's feel into security. What lies in their insecurity that we're, yes, please, and not that stuff. A lot of it will be the flip of what we have up here in the brown, right? But just feel into that as you soak into security and why your vote tends to be, yes, security, please. What is it that security does? What's that all about?
It confirms my vision and where I'm going. It has me feel more confident.
So there's going in there, there's confidence, there's probably action in that. Okay, thank you.
And I'm seeing the security within and the security without. You know, and that's, I'm very grateful to live in a co-op with a community of people where I can have my solitude and my community close at hand.
So that security inside, that security outside, and what is it about that security? What's some other flavors or nuances? What does security give you, Sharon?
It gives me the freedom to be and explore.
Freedom, exploration.
Yeah. To, yeah.
What else as you poke into security? What does security feel like and smell like and taste like and allow you to do?
Christina, I had a strong vision of two interconnected circles with a, you know, like a figure 8, but the 8 is actually woven into itself. So there's a time for both.
Like a Venn diagram, Pauline?
Not quite a Venn diagram. It was more like an infinity, but not an infinity. It was two circles and they were interwoven at one point. So it's sort of like when Sharon was speaking, it was this whole action and ability to actually connect at choice.
Right.
Whole action, choice, ability to connect. Okay, excellent.
I would add safety and feeling grounded. There was another word.
Protected?
Yeah, to me that's embedded in safety. Certainty, I think that was the word. Yeah.
On solid ground.
Yeah, feeling grounded, yeah.
Excellent. Feel into that certainty and on solid ground.
For me, there's also a sense of everything's going to be okay. So it's like a trust that I'll be okay.
When I don't know which one of you was just talking about being on solid ground, but what came for me when you were saying that is the ground below me is solid, so I can float away from it and do my dreaming and my what ifs, because I have the space to do that. If I'm not feeling solid, I'm lost in a mystery novel.
Okay. Having that freedom, it's interesting, the polarity of that too, right? Having the groundedness and that security and stability, which allows the freedom and the choice and the flying and the dreaming.
When you share that, Sharon, I think about Maslow's hierarchy. We got our baseline taken care of, and that frees us up to put our attention on the dreaming and the exploration.
Absolutely. And, you know, I feel great sadness for people in the world who don't have their basic security.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadness hasn't shown up here yet, but I've certainly, maybe that's part of the vulnerability where allowing myself to I just call it leaking. I'm going to leak every day at some point. And I'm not a person who cries often. So that's an aspect of vulnerability that I'm accepting. Yeah. Be more deeply in my feelings. I feel secure to do that.
So as we were talking, what else popped up for me was freedom from certain states, like freedom from anxiety or worry or concern.
Yeah. Even if they're there, they're not the biggest, because they're there. If you turn the news on, they're there, but not letting them be the biggest. That's been my experience of that.
I'm going to put them over here too. So underneath there's a lot more anxiety, worry and concern over here.
Sharon, that just brought me back to your hug and the physical connection and the touch and, you know, that connectedness there.
Yeah.
In that secure is that embraced.
Yeah. On the, can we kind of bounce around a bit, Christina? Because I thought of another thing I want.
That's the way it happens. Yep.
another thing on that's risen for me, which I don't like about myself, is I'm from a big family. There's 7 of us siblings, and there's only one other person like me who is not in a relationship, and I haven't been for several years. I'm having these phone calls with my siblings, and they're having their glass of wine together. They're just being together. And I've had so much jealousy come up. And I'm saying to them, I have to express it, and then they want to fix it. And I'm going, no, I just need you to hear it. You guard each other, you can touch. And so wondering a lot why I set my life up this way. And normally I don't have that much of a question around it. So that's an underbelly feeling that there's some shame for me in feeling jealousy. I don't like it.
I'm just, I'm hesitant. I'm feeling into it because I'm like, you might be in another polarity.
Okay.
And there also might be orphan rescue work there. This is something else that the situation's bringing up. Also, vulnerability might be the partner, right? The lack of partner.
Yeah.
Maybe not for you, but for them, right? Also, there's projection and stuff that people will do on single people because that's how they would be in that situation. So they project it upon and think one must be, right? So this lack of partner business or single or solo for some will bring, makes one vulnerable, makes one afraid.
I love the point you've just made, Christina, because it's like being vulnerable to everybody's projections, you know, projecting loneliness, projecting all kinds of stuff that may not even be true for you. It goes back to what you were saying, sharing about feeling like not visible or not being accurately seen for your truth.
Yes.
Okay, very good. We're just getting to all sorts of palpable layers. I can just feel it in my somatic, right? It's just kind of as we tap into this.
So I was thinking about opposite qualities, thinking about the freedom from anxiety, worry, and concern. If I were to flip those, I would say desire for security includes something like serenity, calm, peacefulness, trust, faith. Those kind of are a package for me.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
All that beautiful stuff that lies there in the world of security. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently. Mm-hmm.
They say.
Yeah. As we've got it lined up and us thinking it equals that. Yeah. Okay, we can keep milking those. So by all means on your own side, and hopefully, you know, you can go and print out the template or you can just draw a quadrant on a sheet of paper. I see many of you writing, so you're doing that on your end, which is excellent. Okay, those two can keep getting accumulated too, but let's go to the other one. So let's go to the fear of security. This might take a little bit to tap into, but just as you kind of get yourself centered and breathe into it and jump over into this other quadrant and see what lies in this territory, that, wow, what do you know? Somewhere there in my security is, or in my world is a fear of being secure.
I'll become complacent.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so fear of complacency. Uh-oh, if I get too secure, I'm going to be complacent. And if you milk that a little bit more, Kristen, what else is in there with complacent? What will happen if you're complacent?
I'll stop taking risks.
Okay, so stop risks. And then what will happen?
I'll accept the status quo.
Wouldn't want to do that. Okay, accept status quo. Good.
And so I'll limit my potential.
And if you limit your potential, what does that mean?
I won't be contributing what I'm meant to contribute.
And then what would happen? Waste of life?
I was going to say disappoint. I'll disappoint myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and regret.
Ah, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, if you just keep asking them, what will that lead to? What will that lead to? It's like you get the whole, oh, kill me now.
Yeah. And I'll miss out on a whole bunch.
Ah, miss out.
I'll become comfortable rather than continuing to stretch and grow.
Okay, and if you get too comfortable, what'll happen?
It's just boring.
Ah, okay, it'll be boring. What else will it be?
It'd be disappointing because I know I'm being called to more.
So you won't be called. You won't be
Right.
called, you won't complete. Okay.
I'll stop learning comes up for me.
Mm-hmm. And if you stop learning, what happens? Stagnate or something?
Yeah.
The word stuck comes to me.
Yep.
Christina, what comes up for me is a number of different things around societal expectations of when is enough, like that, you know, that consumerism of, you know, sort of here's the expectation, now we raise it, there's an expectation, you know, you got to do this in society.
So you're a fear of being secure. So it's like, ooh, if I get too secure, I'm going to meet all those societal things. I'm going to get materialistic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be materialistic.
Yeah, it won't be authentic.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm getting a lot in myself kind of screaming, you'll be normal. Oh God, I couldn't be
What
normal.
the
hell? I must be unique and different and yeah.
Ordinary.
Okay. Right, very good. Yes.
Mediocre.
Yeah, that's the word that was coming up for mediocre. I was thinking about what's his name on Golden Pond guy who said, you know, leading lives of quiet desperation.
Yes.
I can't think of his name, but you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Henry Ford?
Henry Fonda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the actor, but the poet.
On Walden's Pond is that?
Walden's Pond,
Yeah.
not Golden Pond.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I really missed
Thoreau.
Thoreau, thank you.
Yeah.
I call it the moderately miserable.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, we wouldn't want that. Yeah, good.
And I see there's that aspect of putting on a face, a particular face in this. I've been really searching to get more in touch with my hippie soul, which was a big part of me in my life. But again, it's the face too.
Good. So the flip of that genuine. Someone else said genuine. I think it was Pauline earlier. I'm not going to be genuine. I'm going to be, and I'm hearing it in you, Sharon. You know, what's the opposite of hippie?
Yeah.
Like conformist.
Conformist. Yeah. Okay. Good.
When I'm looking at the ordinary and the mediocre, I'm really pinging on your words earlier of being invisible. It's just like fade into nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Not be seen, not be recognized, not be valued. Just nothing.
Yep. And so I search for my hippie soul.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to put the hippie soul over in the security because for you, that security allows you your hippie soul. But if you're too vulnerable, then you won't be able to actualize your hippie soul, right? It's like, no, you've turned into the instant old person. So you can't be the hippie soul. We got to look after you. So.
The rebel, because the rebel says.
That's a good one too. Rebel. Yeah, in a funny way, the rebel needs security in order to be the rebel. Yeah. Cool. Okay, good. Anybody else got stuff in there? Fear of security? Wow, what do you know? I'm actually afraid of security because if I'm too secure, X will happen.
But for me, it was just when you said the hippie soul and then moving into that space, that was kind of like the widening of that transcendent space or transition space for you. And for me, there was this confinement piece around how confined that inner circle is. And so that expansion outside of that into this new space.
And that to me is all about how I make it so within my internal self and expansion. I mean, that's where my work is at this point.
Great. So this is starting to open up stuff that even if there is physical confinement of whatever sort, truly, doesn't mean the hippie soul needs to be confined. Interesting, right? As we play polarities, what falls out. Okay, there might be more there, so you can keep kind of adding to that quadrant, but we're going to go to the next one. And so we've saved the best for last. Boy, where might there actually be a desire for vulnerability? What might vulnerability actually get us in a good way?
Intimacy.
Okay.
Growth.
Truth.
Understanding.
Sorry.
I heard understanding, so I'm going to put that up. And then what? Who was next?
It's communion.
Communion. Beautiful.
I want to say tenderness and humanity.
Love.
I don't know how to say it, but I'm almost like we're all in this together, which they've been saying. But in other words, if I'm vulnerable, when I make a business call and I say, I need some help, I'm looking for the person who blah, blah, blah. People want to be helpful. So that's a vulnerability in one respect, because I'm saying I don't have all the answers, but it's that helpfulness that I gain, I guess.
Allowing the others to be of service, to be
there you
helpful.
go.
Yeah.
It's like activating interdependence. And there's some like delicious transformational potential in vulnerability. Like we don't know what's going to happen, but 99% of the time our vulnerability leads to something expansive and a deeper bond between people or something that's really beautiful. But there are no guarantees. That's why it's scary.
Guarantees are highly overrated.
Connection.
Yeah.
Courage.
Yes.
Self-love.
I've got, and mature is the wrong word. I want to say wise, or that elder piece, to bring in that elder and that wisdom.
So there's something in there over there in the world of vulnerability that makes us wise, that makes us that elder. Maybe life actually had some wisdom in having us progress through certain stages of things, huh?
Yeah. And to see vulnerability in young children who express it exactly when it's there in front of them, there's a lot of wisdom in that.
Purity too. Yeah.
And humility.
Humility. Yes.
When you talked about children, the image that came to mind was that joy that can come out of vulnerability. Because we were willing to, I mean, we sometimes have to be very courageous to be able to express joy. But that can be very vulnerable, a vulnerable emotion to share. And so And I keep coming up with strength, that with that shared vulnerability actually comes a strength when we talk about common humanity and connectedness, that the almost counterintuitively, vulnerability can lead to strength.
Healing.
And there's one I'm not sure my language is right on, but it's kind of like being able to laugh at yourself, being able to not take oneself too seriously. It's like, yeah.
Christina, I said healing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess feeling was for me. It allows you to be feeling. That's my family stuff. Oh my God, no, we must be pillars of strength. Yes.
There's healing in our feeling.
Exactly. Yeah.
The word authenticity was coming up for me too.
Acceptance and visibility.
Oh, interesting. You can be visible in the vulnerability. Yes.
Yeah.
I heard Sharon say something like "let go."
Yeah, I think that that's a good flip of what I said. I would say messiness too. It's like these kind of feelings are messy, and there's a lot of
Well, let's put
that.
messy in there, and it's actually a desirable thing. So there's messy over in one of the other quadrants, but there's actually a beautiful messiness over here in this vulnerability place that's desirable.
Yeah. I wanted to add faith and trust too. We just, are willing to step into the unknowing and trust that things will be okay.
Yeah.
And so, what do you know? Actually, a desire for vulnerability, because it will help us to get to true faith and trust. We actually need to be vulnerable or in a place of vulnerability to actually be in true faith and trust. Wow.
I keep coming back to when Sharon was saying about your children doing the groceries for you, and that there is kind of, that is a bit of an exposure to vulnerability, but that opportunity for like that of respect that's shown, and a sign of like, you're so precious and vulnerable, and like that it's this sign of like deep respect and honoring you for your vulnerability.
Thank you. And I certainly did feel that in my gratitude and love towards them.
Yeah.
Okay, so just like our other quadrants, this too may have more that it keeps producing. So if more keeps being produced in any of these quadrants, just keep writing them down as you tap into how it flows for you. But we've done desire for vulnerability, fear of vulnerability, fear of security, and desire of security. So we've worked our way through the full kind of 360 of this particular polarity, and just feel how that feels, like how we first went into it versus doing the work. And so powerful to do this in a group, because different people can poke into different places that can be really helpful to hear, go, oh yeah, that's true, I wouldn't have got there on my own. Now, this is a 3Z, so this process has 3 parts. So even though I know this is still cooking, I'm going to go to the second part, which is the transcendent state. We can't jump in often right away looking at a polarity to actually be able to authentically tap into the transcendence. But after you spend some time in all 4 and you start to balance them out, then we have access to this unity consciousness place as we balance it out. So it's tricky to do this in a group. So usually I'll just go through quickly and use my own self as a calibrator. But just know that how I calibrate may be different from you. So you can certainly have your own ones that do it for you. But as I look at this list of transcendent states and I contemplate the work that we've just done, which ones are relevant or which ones kind of emerge? So I'm wondering if some acceptance has emerged. For me, it has, right? I have a different relationship now to vulnerability and security than I did prior to doing this polarity. I've poked into some different things that I hadn't poked into before. So for me, anyway, there is a whole lot more of acceptance around the vulnerability and what that actually might bring into life. Attunement too. lands for me. So does balance. I don't think bliss, clarity, compassion, maybe detachment is detached of some of the anxiety around vulnerability. So I think I'll give that a tick. Devotion, not so much. Dharma, discernment, equality, a little bit something going on there. Equanimity, perhaps. Eternality, no. Some faith. Faith played a big role in this. I heard faith in multiple places. So giving me faith that there might, maybe I can trust states of vulnerability in a bigger picture that might lead to something worthwhile. Flow, yes. Some forgiveness around this whole projection, making me vulnerable kind of stuff. Which generosity, some grace, some gratitude, harmlessness potentially takes off the edge of this is all harm about vulnerability. Harmony, humility, impeccability, joy, loyalty, neutrality, might bring a little bit of neutrality, some patience, samadhi, selflessness, surrender, a little bit of surrender maybe, tolerance, yeah, trust, truth. I can get a whiff of unconditional love in there, unity and wisdom. Now the third, as we kind of feel that whooshing over me, these beautiful transcendent states. Take some work to get to them, but boy, it's nice when we tap into them. And then the final thing is, she calls it a prayer in her book, which can be a triggering word. So I call it a release statement. But if you like it as a prayer, I'm going to say it. And then we can see about saying it as a group. By all means, change any wording. You'll get the gist of what it's getting to. These are Leslie's particular words. So change it however it works so it lands best for you. But I'll say it and then we'll come back to it. So, O eternity, please take all these states of mind, which are unbalanced in this pattern, and balance and clear them. Do this so that I may see more clearly and find my way home more easily. I give thanks knowing it will be done. So you're basically turning it over. And when we turn it over too, it's interesting what happens as we go about in life, because sometimes there's this neat boomerang effect that kind of shows us the inner work that we've done. So if you care to join along, by all means, I'll just do it slowly so we can say it. Feel free to unmute your mic. O eternity, please take all these states of mind,
Please take all these states of mind,
which are unbalanced in this pattern,
balanced in this pattern,
and balance and clear them.
And balance.
Balance and clear them.
Do this so that I may see more clearly.
Do this so I may see more clearly.
And find my way home more easily.
And
find my way home more easily.
I give thanks knowing it will be done.
I give thanks knowing it will be done.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
Nice.
Oof, just feel that. I just feel this woof of something happening here on the energetic as it all just let go and with deep reverence and respect. And I thank you all for the work. It's so powerful to do polarities together in a group. And we never know what's going to happen. So this is what happened in this particular session. So we worked vulnerability and security in the larger context of what's happening in the world with COVID and the economy and the different polarities and duking it out happening in the world. So we've done our bit to find the duking out within ourselves. And we'll just see what occurs from here. You don't have to do it from the left brain. This is a right brain. It's been done and released, and we'll see what the boomerang effect is. I do know that it helps to do this inner work individually and collectively. So I thank you all for your contribution for the individual and for the collective. It's my honor to hold space for this. So let's do some closing comments. You don't have to if you don't care to, but anybody who'd like to say anything to complete, by all means, just unmute and anything you want to say to end today's session.
Namaste.
I
Nice.
just want to say thank you to everybody. I love this tapestry we wove together today. Thanks everybody for your contributions. And Christina, once again, your wonderful generosity. It's just always a pleasure to be in the spaces you are holding for us. Well,
Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Nice to see you, Anne.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. This was, sorry, just a deep appreciation for all of you. Just was a wonderful experience. So thank you so much.
Very welcome. Thank you, Jody, for participating. Great.
For me too, I want to certainly thank you, Christina, as always, and all of you. It's just was so wonderful to be part of this group doing this work. I've gained a lot from it. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for bringing vulnerability in, Sharon. Woo.
My gift to you.
Yes, very much.
I also appreciated the opportunity to dig deeper into both vulnerability and security. And thank you, Christina, and everyone else. And let's keep on keeping on.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Jude. Jude, I'll just say too, you might want to play out the orphan rescue with the stuff going on with the people and what they're doing. I would use that protocol to see what it might bring forth. Yeah. Although the polarity might have just softened that all out, we'll see. Yeah.
Just want to say I'm really honored to have been here in this space with everyone who was here, and thank you, Sharon, for sharing so openly and being vulnerable. Your vulnerability was a gift to us.
Mm-hmm.
And you holding it for me was a gift for me.
Okay, going once, going twice.
Okay.
Okay, sold. We're done. So I'll look at my calendar and figure out when the next one is. I haven't figured that out yet, but Pat will follow up with the recording and the map for today. And along with that note will be when the next one is. And it's nice to see that Sunday is a good day. So I'll probably sprinkle. I've just finished yesterday my last course, online course of this season, which frees up my schedule as well to make things a little more flexible. So I'll keep that in mind of mixing up the day that we do them and the times too. So people with different time zones can come on in. Thank you very much and be well.
Christina?
Be strong, be vulnerable, be whatever you are. Yeah.
Christina, this is Jude. I just wanted to offer, if you do it on Sunday again and Pat's not available and you want to have some support, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you, Jude. Yeah, awesome. I was thinking that's what I would do. So thank you for the reminder, and I will definitely help me to ask for help. Yeah, good.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye, all.
Thank you, Christina.
Very welcome. Thank you.